Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. My name is Lara. I am the Voting Rights Manager at the 3 Million, and we're here for our voting rights event about the Elections Act for the Bulgarian community. This is one of the 9 events the 3 Million is hosting as part of the No Vote, No Voice campaign, which is aiming to inform Londoners about the changes brought by the Elections Act and how their voting rights in the UK will change, both in how you vote and who can vote. So today we're here with the Bulgarian community, aiming to inform you. So we'll speak both in English and Bulgarian about how you can stay involved in democracy. And just to start, I'll pass it to my colleague Sarah, who will tell you a little bit more about the campaign and shout out UK's involvement.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and I'm the Digital Growth Lead at Shout Out UK. And if you don't know Shout Out UK, we do democratic engagement campaigns. And one of the campaigns that we're doing currently is the Voter ID campaign together with the Greater London Authority. And as part of this campaign, we're collaborating with the 3 Million to organise these community events for EU Londoners. So our whole mission is trying to get people informed about their voting rights so that they can both register to vote and get involved in democracy in any ways they can. So yeah, we're really happy to have you join us here today.
Thank you, Sarah. So I will now share my screen with you guys to run through a presentation in English about the changes brought by the Elections Act, what it means and how you can stay informed. So, and then my colleagues will then also run through it a little bit in Bulgarian, so you get all of it. But let's start sharing my screen. Hope that you're watching the right thing. There you go, slideshow. Sarah, could you on Facebook check that?
Yeah.
Cool. So there you go. This is an information presentation about the Elections Act. So last year, the Elections Act passed in Parliament, bringing some change. Before we even talk about these changes, I want to talk to you about why we should even be bothered. Why should we care about these changes to voting rights? And it starts with us registering to vote. We know that here in the UK, voting is not mandatory. It's an active choice that we have to make as citizens to participate in democracy. And I want to tell you today, and my colleagues will do the same, that it does matter. Firstly, participating in democracy is your chance to have a say on how anything around you is affected, on how, if you care about housing, the environment, or even immigration, do you get to have a say on those things? And the primary starting point for you to have a say on those things is through the vote. And another practical benefit of registering to vote that not everyone knows is that it improves your credit score. That means that, for example, when you go to buy a new phone or whenever you have to prove your credit score in the UK, if you are registered to vote, your credit score will be improved. And that's just, I think, financially a benefit that we should all be making use of. And another benefit I find very important for us here in the 3 Million and my colleagues as well, is that our voices as migrants in the UK need to count. We're often ignored in policy making, and in many elections, we don't even have the right to vote. So when it comes to specifically local elections where we do have the right to vote, let's take every opportunity to make our voices heard. And now that we've covered that, who can vote? Who can participate in elections here in the UK? That's where it becomes a little bit trickier, because election eligibility in the UK is a bit complex. It depends on on the nation that you live in, such as England, Wales, or Scotland, as well as your own nationality. So, and the Elections Act then brings a few extra changes to that I will cover. So, firstly, is this a bit of a complicated graph, but if you stay with me, I will walk you through it. So firstly, if you are British, Irish, or Commonwealth, as in from a country like India or Pakistan or any of the other Commonwealth countries, you have a right to vote in every election in the UK. That's parliament elections, local elections, police and crime commissioner elections, and you don't even have to worry about which nation you live in. Just if you are from one of those nationalities, plain and simple, you have the right to vote. Now, if you are from an EU citizen, if you're from an EU country, you are an EU citizen, at the moment, you have the right to vote in local elections in England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And I'll speak a little bit more about that. But if you're from an EU country, you have the right to register to vote, and you can vote in any upcoming local elections that are around you. If you live in Scotland and Wales, and you are an EU citizen, you can vote in local elections as well as the devolved parliament elections, such as the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Parliament. You will not have the right to vote for members of parliament, even if you live in those nations, but you do get to vote for your assembly member, for example, or for the Scottish National Parliament member that represents you. And that's because in those two nations, they have a system called residence-based voting rights, which was implemented last year. So not only if you're an EU citizen, but if you're from a non-EU country like Brazil or Ukraine or America, you also have a right to vote in those elections for the devolved assemblies. So for those two nations, it's quite a simple system that if you're from anywhere and you have a lawful status in the UK, you get a vote, you get to register and vote. And then let's come back to England and Northern Ireland, where things get a little bit more complicated with the implementation of the Elections Act. And that is that if you are an EU citizen who entered the UK by the 31st of December 2020, you will continue having the right to vote in local elections, that is for an election for your councillor or for a police and crime commissioner, like you've always done. Like you can still register and you can still vote. However, if you are an EU citizen that entered the UK from the 1st of January 2021 from an EU country, you will lose your right to vote in local elections because of the Elections Act. That is an act, it's a law that has passed in Parliament, but it has not been fully implemented yet. So even with all I just said, that at the moment, right now, every EU citizen, no matter where from, no matter what date of entering the UK, can register and vote in local elections. However, as I said, because of the Elections Act, there will be some changes that will come into effect in the coming years. So keep in touch with us, keep following our channel so that you are informed of when those changes are brought into place. The key difference brought by the Elections Act is this: EU citizen entered the UK before 2021 continues voting as normal. EU citizen entered the UK from 2021 onwards will only have the right to vote in local elections if their country of origin has secured a bilateral voting rights agreement with the UK. And the only 4 countries that have signed these bilateral voting rights agreements so far are Luxembourg, Poland, Spain, and Portugal. So quick recap on that, because I know it's confusing. If you are an EU citizen who arrived in the UK before 2021, your right to vote is still here and you can still register to vote, continue registering, continue voting. If you are an EU citizen that arrived in the UK from 2021 onwards, your right to vote will change once the Elections Act is implemented in full, and you will only have the right to vote in local elections if you are from one of those 4 countries. However, keep in mind that the implementation is not in place yet, and you have, at the moment, for the next, if there was an election tomorrow, for example, you would still be able to vote. And another important point for us to keep in mind is that the Elections Act has brought photo ID. So that's a key important thing that we need to know. You need to take a photo ID with you to the polling station when you go vote. And those can be a passport, an EU passport as well, a driver's license, including an EEA driving license, biometric immigration card, a blue badge, a Oyster card if you are over 60, and a few others that are here. But if you don't have any of these documents with you, and for example, there's an election coming up and you don't think you're going to be able to get a passport in time, you can ask your local authority to give you a certificate, a voter authority certificate, so that you can use that as a photo ID. But that's a new thing. I know that for many Europeans in the UK, to us, it's typical, it's normal for us to take an identification with us to vote. But that's new here in the UK. Many of you will know that last time that you went to vote, you just gave your name, your address, and you were able to go vote. Next time that will be different, and you will need to take a photo ID with you. So don't forget that that will be a requirement. And there are a few other documents that you can find online at register.london.
Register-to-vote.london.
Register-to-vote.london has a full list of IDs that you can take with you to the polling station. And just quickly, if you're convinced about all of this and you haven't yet registered to vote, the steps are that you go to www.gov.uk/register-to-vote. You scroll down and you click a button that says Start Now, and you answer a few questions about your name, your date of birth, your address, and your nationality. And it will also ask your national insurance number. However, if you don't have a national insurance number, for example, you have recently arrived in the UK and you haven't sorted that out yet, you can still click a box that says, I don't have a national insurance number, and then still be able to register. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And it's really simple, takes 5 minutes. So yeah, that's the how-to, those are the changes. If anything is left unclear, please get in touch with us and we'll help you answer. And now I'll pass to my colleagues, Tony and Aston, who will introduce themselves and talk a little bit more about why you should be participating in democracy and re-explain any of the things that I just said in Bulgarian as well.
Здравейте, казвам се Тони и работя за Settle. Settle е благотворителна организация, която беше създадена през 2019 година с цел да помага на гражданите на Европейския съюз да кандидатстват, да получат settled или pre-settled status, временен или постоянен статут по схемата за уседналост на гражданите на Европейския съюз. Всъщност, Settled работи с всички националности от Европейския съюз, но работим особено активно с българската общност, лице в лице. Също така имаме и Facebook форум, който наброява около 26 000 члена и сме много активни с нашата общност. Аз съм тук тази вечер по покана на Лара, за да призова всички да се регистрират и да гласуват и да кажа колко е важно, че трябва да се гласува за самите вас. В момента всички граждани на Европейския съюз все още имат право да гласуват в местните избори, ако не са и британски граждани. Има нов закон за гласуването, който всъщност е минал през парламента, но все още не е въведен в действие. Така че на този етап всички можете да гласувате в местните избори. Когато новия закон вече се въведе на практика, тогава право на глас ще имат само тези, които са пребивавали в Обединеното кралство преди 31 декември 2020 година. Всички, които са дошли след това, ще имат право да гласуват в местните избори, само ако държавата им е подписала двустранно споразумение с Обединеното кралство. Но за момента само 4 държави са подписали такова споразумение и това са Испания, Португалия, Полша и Люксембург. България все още няма такова подписано споразумение. Така че, да, значи, когато влезе в сила новия закон, тогава право на гласуване в местните избори ще имат само тези, които са пристигнали и са се установили в Обединеното кралство преди 31 декември 2020. А тези, които са дошли след това, включително и присъединяващи се членове на семейство на хора с статут, те няма да имат право на глас. Също така, новото изменение, което се въвежда в Обединеното кралство е, че за гласуване всеки трябва да представи документ за самоличност. Ние в България знаем, че гласуваме само с документ за самоличност, така че това не е нищо ново за нас, но за Обединеното кралство това е съвсем нова стъпка. Тук обаче можете да ползвате много повече документи, отколкото в България. Може да се ползва лична карта, паспорт, шофьорска книжка, британска или българска. Също така Oyster карта, ако някой е пенсионер и има безплатна такава карта и тъй нататък. Доста, няколко са видовете документи, които могат да се ползват за това. Така, това е от мен за сега. Асен?
Здравейте, аз се казвам Асен Славчев. Представител съм в момента на новосформирана организация, която се казва Български център за социална интеграция и култура. Тази организация е в процес на създаване и мисля, че ще бъде първата организация, създадена от българи и работеща за българи. Иначе аз работя на парт-тайм за Luton, която е организация, занимаваща се с помощи за ромската общност в Лутън, както и за Сетъл, като предимно самия съм от ромски произход и дълги години, от 96-7 година работя в неправителствения сектор и се опитвам да помагам на нашата общност да се интегрира където и да е. Аз исках да спомена и това, че освен да се отива до секциите, може да се гласува и по почтата, както и по интернет, но по интернет трябва допълнителни изисквания, но по почтата може да се гласува, когато си регистриран. Исках да наблегна също така и на проблемите, които нашите хора от България и от другите европейски страни срещат в живота си в Англия. Както знаем, много от нас живееме в споделени къщи, така наречени, където много малко хора се регистрират за гласуване, а всъщност всеки един може и трябва да се регистрира за гласуване за местните избори специално, защото единствено по този начин можем да отстояваме правата си и единствено по този начин ще може да ни чуят в местния парламент, местните, както им казват, съветници, counselors, могат да ни чуят и да правят решения на местно ниво. Друг основен проблем, който ние имаме, е когато получим някои писма заради непознаване добре на английски език, ние просто игнорираме тези писма, които са покани за регистрация за регистрация за гласуване, но има два начина за това нещо. Едното е чрез хартия, която периодично се получава на адресите, на които живееме, или по интернет може да се регистрираме да гласуваме, за което трябват малко технически умения, компютърни умения, но ние сме за това, за да може да помогнем. И когато някой има нужда, винаги може да ни открие. Както Тони спомена, ние също имаме Facebook страница, където винаги може да ни откриете и да не питате за такива неща, които ви интересуват. И не само примерно за гласуване, но и за други неща, свързани с образование, свързани с живота в Англия и така нататък. Друг основен проблем, който според мен нали, виждаме, че има липса на информация. Нали. Ето това нещо, което сега в момента ние правиме. Мисля, че за първи път се случва. До сега не си спомням, аз съм от 11 години тук, не си спомням някой да е провеждал такава кампания, където да приканва хората или да информира хората за техните избирателни права. Защото всъщност ние имаме права да гласуваме за местните избори, но много от нас не знаят. Много от нас мислят, че както нямаме право да гласуваме за парламент, нали, за националния парламент, така нямаме право и да гласуваме за местните избори. Но освен за местните избори, тук има и това е особеност, която в България няма. Тук се избират и полицейските шефове, избират се и шерифи, така наречени шерифи, които са пак полицейски комисионери, комисари. Общо взето, това е от мен, което бих искал да споделя с вас. Ние трябва, от нас зависи дали ще може да имаме представители в местната власт, защото ако ние не се включим в демократичния живот и не се включим в изграждането на демокрацията, ако си стоим настрани от това, никога няма да може да се интегрираме. Така че призовавам всички когато има избори, да бъдем активни и да ходим да гласуваме.
Аз ще добавя само няколко неща за практическата страна от гласуването. Първо, това е много важно за всички нас, защото от това зависят районите, в които живеем, парка, най-близкия парк, до който сме, училищата, където ходят нашите деца, отпадъците как се събират, улиците как се поддържат и т.н. Това всичко зависи от местната власт и за това е добре да имаме представители и да гласуваме и да изискваме, когато има нужда за това. Също така, съвсем така вече лично, съвсем в личен план, както Лара каза, когато сте регистрирани за гласуване, това се отразява на вашия credit score, т.е. на вашия банков, как се казва на български, на вашето, когато кандидатствате примерно за закупуване на кола, за закупуване на телефон. Да, кредитна история. На вашата кредитна история това се отразява в положителен смисъл, ако сте се регистрирали да гласувате. Така че наистина е добре всеки да го направи, защото това е полезно за вас, за вашето семейство, за мястото, където живеете и въобще за участието ви в процеса на демокрация и т.н.
Аз исках да добавя нещо друго, което сега ми дойде. Тъй като в момента много малко от европейските граждани са регистрирани за гласуване в Великобритания, може би това е една от причините големите политически партии да не са заинтересовани да привличат наши представители в редовете си и да ги включват в листите за общински съветници. Така че от нас зависи, от нашата активност зависи дали ще имаме представители, които да се защитават нашата общност, да ни представляват, да говорят от наше име, да представляват нашите проблеми и в същото време да отстояват нашите интереси в местните общински съвети, както и в голямата община на Лондон.
Лара?
Thank you very much. I couldn't understand a lot of that, but it sounded great. So thank you so much for explaining a little bit more. And I'm sure lots of people are now very excited to go register and continue participating in democracy. And our final speaker now, Rina, will talk to you a little bit more about how you can vote in EU Parliament elections.
Yeah.
Great.
Hello, my name is Rina and I represent the European Parliament here in the UK today. A lot of EU citizens don't know that they still have also representatives in the EU. As Sam, Dori and Lara mentioned, that it's important to vote, and the EU citizens still have the rights to vote in the EU. But it all depends on the countries have a different rules because the UK left. But don't forget, you still have the right to vote, and you have the representatives who represents you, like in the European Parliament elections, there's MEPs, members of the European Parliament, and so yeah, it's you just have to register to vote, go to vote, and why it's important already mentioned here. So we here in European Parliament have all the information, collecting the fact sheets, where and how, and you can do that. And so, and also we have European Parliament has together.eu platform where young people who's interested in democracy, who wants to do something, who want to participate in actions and doing something for the democracy and everything, just sign up. It's pan-European, all over the not just the EU. There's a lot of people registered from different places. So go to vote, register to vote, and people have rights, and they are represented.
When is the next parliament?
The European Parliament elections are every 5 years. The next ones are in 2024, but also the Bulgarian National Assembly elections are taking place in a little bit over 4 weeks' time. And people who have the right to vote in the elections, they still, and want to vote abroad, they still have until Monday, until 7th to register. So
good.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Nina. So 2nd of April, 2nd of April. So lots of things for you to go register for today. But the message is register to vote. And every EU citizen who's listening to us today, remember, you still have the right to register to vote. And if you are in London, the next elections that you will likely be able to vote for will be in May 2024, unless there's a by-election in your exact area. If you live outside of London, you might have local elections happening now in May, which you will already have to take that photo ID with you. So yes, those are the key messages. Register to vote, take photo ID with you. And if you are an EU citizen, yes, there are some changes coming up depending on your country of nationality and when you arrived in the UK regarding your right to vote. But at the moment, you still have that right. So go register and make your voice heard at the next election near you. You can look it up, which one's happening where you live. Thank you very much. And do get in touch with any of the organizations mentioned here today if you have any questions. Bye.